Can I beat both The Last of Us games and the Left Behind DLC on their hardest difficulty back to back without dying? When I first started taking on challenges in The Last of Us, long before I actually knew what I was doing, I might add, that was my big goal. And to be honest, for a long time, it felt utterly impossible. It was back in May 2023 that I had started practicing for The Last of Us Part 1. I had managed to beat the game with just a single death, but from there, that fully deathless run still eluded me after 33 attempts on the whole game permadeath setting. On 22nd of December, I did what would be my last attempt for a while.
Oh fuck, he's dead. Fuck's sake.
So I took a break from the game and started playing Part 2. That break, it turned out, was for the best, as a one-off playthrough on per chapter permadeath on 22nd of May 2024 earned me my first fully deathless completion.
You fucking did it.
Part 2 was a much greater struggle. I'd started the grind for Part 2 before I got my Part 1 completion and got a 3-death run on 20th of April 2024. I would then, after 26 attempts, get a run that died 12 hours in at the resort in Santa Barbara, and that would be my PB for the longest time.
No!
On attempt 111, I would reach the upstairs of the resort, only to die yet again.
Oh, for fuck's sake, really?
But I did eventually do it. 2 attempts later, 113 would be my lucky number as I finally got the elusive Part 2 deathless run on grounded difficulty.
This is sensational. This is ridiculous. And this happened.
These challenges have already been a roller coaster, right? An uphill struggle on par with Sisyphus. And where I was one of nearly 50 people to beat the challenge for Part 2, and 20 odd to do it for Part 1, maybe 5 people had done both as a single run. So the question was, could I do it back to back? Just how long would this take me? How many times would I die right at the end before I got the run? First, let's go over how this run works. For a run to be valid, it has to be on the hardest difficulty, grounded, and on permadeath mode. Grounded difficulty is harder than all the difficulties in The Last of Us on the basis of several metrics. You can survive the least amount of damage, enemies are at their most aggressive and spot you easier because stealth is at its hardest, resources are at their most scarce, and allies are at their most passive and useless.
I'm curious.
You're going to be doing all the work here. In addition, the game takes away the HUD that shows you your health, how many bullets are loaded into your gun, and how many hits are left on your melee weapon. You also cannot use the game's iconic listening mode because it is turned off. If that all sounds a bit too tough, then there are certain options you can turn on to make things easier. But the game itself pops up with a message if you do, saying that they're not recommended for grounded difficulty. So, lock on aim for easy shooting, awareness indicators showing if enemies are likely to spot you and where from, high contrast display to pick enemies and items out from the background, enhanced listen mode, which turns listen mode back on for grounded, as well as souping the mode up, the option to skip puzzles, infinite breath when underwater, and all of the combat accessibility options. They have to be off for this challenge. And gameplay modifiers like infinite ammo or infinite crafting. When you're ungrounded, the game won't even let you turn them on. In essence, making things easier is banned for this challenge. Then there's permadeath mode. This will reset your game when you die, either to the beginning of the chapter, to the beginning of the act, or to the beginning of the whole game. Which setting you choose doesn't matter, as the run is only valid if you don't die either way. So we're going with whole game permadeath. Or, in this case, 2 game permadeath. Because even if we die right at the end of The Last of Us Part 2, we have to start the run over again from the very start of The Last of Us Part 1. And, spoiler alert, that's some foreshadowing right there. So let's begin the run.
Hello?
Texas, 2013. We wake up as Sarah, worried by a call from our Uncle Tommy before the phone line cuts out,
Uncle Tom?
and go downstairs in search of our father,
What was
Joe.
that?
He's loading a revolver when our next door neighbour Jimmy comes in without knocking, and Joel exercises his Second Amendment rights. We escape in the car with Uncle Tommy, but unfortunately, as Joel, it is technically possible to die in this prologue when carrying Sarah. However, if that were a real possibility, then we would not be ready to take this challenge on. Still, permadeath isn't for everybody, and Sarah unfortunately bows out early on. 20 years later, the cordyceps rules the world, and in the Boston quarantine zone, Tess arrives to tell us that she almost failed permadeath as well, but she persevered, and now Robert is going to get his. The early areas in Boston are straightforward enough. We can sneak right by the infected, and a few strategic strangulations and headshots see to the smugglers working for Robert. But the speedrun strategy for the wharf area can, on occasion, go wrong. On 3 occasions, specifically, while I was attempting this challenge. Where the fuck do you come from? The fuck? Actually doing the strategy successfully results in Robert failing permadeath. Marlene also looks like she's red screened, but she'll be fine. For now. Assuming I don't die, the amount of damage I take in the wharf varies. If I take too much, then I'll generally do the safer strategy at the docks with Fedra rather than the quicker one. Well, I say safer. I'm dead. Yep. This is easily avoided by waddling past the first 2 enemies, chucking a brick at the next, and absolutely pegging it for the exit to swap Marlene out for Ellie and take Ellie to the North Tunnel. Once we're outside, we discover Ellie is apparently immune to the cordyceps.
3 weeks
But before we can reckon with that, Fedra shows up. Luckily, we can pretty much sprint past them, which kind of tells you why so many QZs have fallen around the country. So, we're on to downtown and broken buildings full of infected. You can sprint easily past the first clicker, and then drop into an area with another clicker and 4 runners. But now you have the revolver, which is a one-shot kill on unarmored enemies ungrounded. So this is light work. Well, unless you've not healed after the earlier clicker QTE and suffer one of the game's worst BS mechanics, the untelegraphed, unavoidable wall grab. Assuming that doesn't happen, then the actual strategy here is 1, 2, 3 shots, a brick smash, and a bottle smash and kick. Easy peasy. From here, the subway too is straightforward. Crouch walk as soon as you're in control, throw a brick distraction, carry on around the edge of the center room to the ladder and the exit. Well, except for that 1 in 100 times that a runner emerges from absolutely nowhere for another wall grab. I didn't realize there was a clicker so close. Except for that, we're out. And it's squeaky bum time as we sprint past the clickers in the museum, through doors that open the wrong way. Then it's Tessa's turn to fail permadeath. But at least she buys us time to get out of there and once again sprint past the hapless Fedra agents. Really, how did these guys ever keep martial law intact? Once we're in Billstown, there's a neat trick in the upside down trap to get extra revolver ammo. Completely empty the gun between phases, collect more ammo off Ellie, then reload both before and after the last shot you fire. A nice 16, 17 or 18 bullets, it varies, for some important strategies later on. Okay, we still got 17, I'll take that. On the downside of guns in Billstown, the shotgun he gives us is perhaps the worst shotgun that ever shotgunned. And so occasionally, this happens.
Fuck's sake.
Despite this, speedrunning Billstown does offer up some of the most satisfying aggressive gameplay in the whole first game.
Coming from everywhere!
I love that bug though. And then the bloater. A super tough moment the first time I ever played Grounded. Now, 6 revolver shots and, if not enough of them are headshots, then a couple of shotgun blasts. Voila! That spicy mushroom is cooked. Bill gives us a car and his well wishes.
And get the fuck out of my town.
Then we're on to Pittsburgh, the largest chunk of the game. And some good shooting will see you through most of this. But if you miss shots and have to try and regroup, then it is possible for the enemy to get the upper hand. We were a little less trigger happy when sneaking through the bookstore, and then through the hotel with the help of an arrow distraction, which brought us to everyone's favourite area, the basement. But as scary as it seems at first, it's pretty straightforward. Walking backwards after picking up the keycard stops the first group of stalkers from spawning, which allows you to safely turn on the generator, and then it's a straight run via one brick bonk to the door and out before the bloater shows up. Beautiful. Financial Plaza 2 becomes so much more straightforward thanks to a succession of stealth kills and 2 well-placed nail bombs for the extra spawns.
Where the fuck? Holy shit!
Alright, come on down.
The area with the truck turret is perhaps my favourite speedrun strategy in the whole game.
It's alright, just keep your head down. 6. Nope. 7. 10, huh?
Nope. Joel, what the fuck? However, I did have 2 deaths here. One when I accidentally grabbed the second to last guy, slowing me down needlessly. Fuck, we're dead. Yeah. And one where Ellie got plus signed. What the fuck? Ron's dead. There's no way I can get to Ellie. I've genuinely never seen that. What the fuck? Though I now know that simply keeping on running will undo this when the enemies despawn. Once we meet up with Henry and Sam, a well-placed Molotov takes care of the first group of enemies, with our shotgun seeing to the next 2. Then the revolver and rifle make light work of the enemies at the searchlight. Well, except for that one time when it didn't. The sewers and suburbs were also straightforward enough. The first group of infected just require a dose of aggression. We can sprint through the stalker area, taking down the 2 clickers with a brick and a shotgun blast, before leaving the remaining infected behind.
Move it.
A Molotov at the start of the sewer holdout makes the wait till Ellie opens the door much less stressful. And then we sprint, Molotov and rifle our way through the sniper's men. And lock in once we're behind the scope. Then we're home free and on to Jackson. Well, I say we. Joel and Ellie, not Henry and Sam. Tommy's Dam is a tough chapter on Grounded because of the sheer number of human enemies who can one-shot you, especially if you miss a crucial shot. But with practice and the right strategies, it can be made a lot simpler. Like getting to this door with a Molotov before the enemies come out.
No, we're trapped.
And ignoring the guys with pistols down below to take out the shotgun and rifle guys. After that, and taking a horse off Tommy, some well-placed trap mines made the university a no-brainer.
We go.
At least until Joel got impaled on a rebar, and Ellie had to take the reins in winter. A tough section, no doubt, especially if you get an utterly inexplicable clicker alert. Fuck. But with some satisfying gameplay if you get it right.
It's a bloater! What? One of those big fucking guys!
James told me it's the girl from the university. How many of our guys were killed there?
Cover the grounds. Make sure she's not hiding somewhere over here.
Right here.
Well, you keep surprising me.
From there, it's the home stretch.
Home stretch, Tess.
Sneaking through a tunnel full of infected, a doddle. Speed running a hospital full of fireflies. Well, we already know how inept Fedra are. This explains why the fireflies still couldn't beat them.
Here he is.
Then, with Ellie in her arms, we cross the finish line. Although Marlene made a major miscalculation, so she won't be finishing the challenge with us.
You just come after her.
Left Behind takes us back to Ellie's time between Joel's impaling and the winter deer hunt. And although most of it is story, it does have arguably the toughest combat encounter in the whole series. I didn't die here though. My one failed Left Behind attempt died to me being stupid around stalkers. And it was so egregious that Joel screamed in despair through Ellie's mouth. That slip up aside though, we took care of the stalkers, let the next group of infected take care of themselves, speed ran past a couple of groups of humans, left one group of humans to the infected, and sped up the final fight with 2 well-placed nail bombs.
Down there by the door. Got her pinned down. Go finish her.
Fuck you! Fine.
Shit.
You wanna do this? Let's do this. That's it. one's alive. Don't even think about surprising me. You'll end up like your friends, you hear me? Yeah?
Which brings us on to The Last of Us Part 2. There's a lot of slow walking and scene setting at the start, but we do get a good warm-up with Ellie's encounter in the supermarket.
I got some numbers here.
And Abby's in the gondola station. Unfortunately, after all the effort we put into keeping Joel alive in part 1, well, still, as tragic as that moment is, it sets our two protagonists off on their respective journeys. Starting with Ellie, who arrives in Seattle with vengeance in mind. At first, we only have infected to deal with, and honestly, for the most part, they pose no issue. Easily dispatched with a machete, or hastily sprinted past, it's no big deal. The main worry in this game is humans, and our first big fight with them in the school can pose problems for any run, as I was reminded when it ended 2 of my attempts. Really? Fuck you. Oh, really? But on the successful run, we blazed a trail of Molotovs, headshots, and stealth kills before sneaking past the last group on the roof in order to reach downtown. This was easy enough to run and sneak through, and then we avoided blowing ourselves up to get to the TV station, where a well-timed stun bomb saw us through the arriving WLF. Running through the tunnels can be dicey, but with the clickers waking up, the enemy's attention is quickly divided and we slip through easily. Leaving behind a delivery meal for the clickers. Some stealth and some speedrun movement tech sees us through the shambler areas. Then we peg it out of the theatre, where Ellie's words are needlessly cruel to Dina, the character, but honestly kind of on point for Dina, the NPC ally.
Well, you're a burden now, aren't you?
Ouch. Anyway, reminiscing about Ellie's 16th birthday is basically a 10-minute break from danger before we go into Hillcrest, or, as many permadeath runners dub it, Hellcrest. The red door on Hillcrest streets is the longest opening door in the game, taking a full 10 seconds. Despite this, there's a reliable speedrun strategy to get there unseen and out without fuss. As for Hillcrest houses, again, there's a route through which you can take unseen, slow for maximum safety, or faster if you're able to manage the risk effectively. I never died in either area in my attempts, which made it extra sour the one time I died in the final area, where Ellie and Jesse steal a truck. Nonetheless, Ellie has found Jesse and brings him home to the theatre to recoup, while she reminisces about finding strings with Joel. First, we sneak through the infected in the lobby of the motel, and then, having dispatched of the staff, we have to speak to the manager. And this was actually where my first attempt at this run died, when I miscalculated the proximity of the bloater.
What the fuck?
But that was the only time that Joel didn't intervene. After the flashback, we face 2 dark offices full of stalkers. A lot of people dislike this part, and for good reason, but you can run straight past the first group. And the second group and their clicker pal are pretty straightforward to dispatch. Likewise, fast stealthing through the Seraphites is straightforward in both the park and the parking garage. And when you get to the big boy at the end and his two mates, a trap mine or two and a stun bomb are your best friends.
Fucker.
In the hospital, one arrow headshot and a well-timed move to the exit will see you through to where Nora is. She gets away fast, but we manage to keep up, and a well-aimed Molotov gets us past the WLF who are trying to rescue her, so we can make her talk about where exactly we will find Abby. On day 3, we don't have to fight any humans. The first group are easily distracted, and with the second group, we don't even need to do that. Only when we get to the mall to steal a boat do things get dicey, as they will always alert when you get in the thing. Usually that's not a problem, but every once in a while...
Please.
Yep. On the occasions where things go smoothly, however...
Yes.
we can heal once we're out of harm's way, and then drive straight through the warring Seraphites and WLF at the flooded monorail without a care. As for the bloater in the arcade,
Goddamn floaters! What are you fucking with, Seattle? Got you, asshole!
we get to the aquarium, and Abby's not there. But we do kill a dog and a pregnant woman, so... winning? All of which brings us to the end of Ellie's quest. She's killed Abby's friends, but Abby still lives.
Killed my friends.
And to say she's pissed off is an understatement.
We let you both live. And you wasted it.
So now we're in control of Abby, who's on a journey to regain her humanity and escape the clutches of vengeance. Though we do get to know why she took revenge on Joel, and a reminder that her dad has already failed permadeath. Then we're back on day 1, and what should be a simple journey to the forward base becomes a battle for survival as the Seraphites ambush the truck and force us to flee into the Home Depot, which is full of infected. They're easy to deal with practice, but that doesn't stop us having really close calls, because Manny is an ineffectual doofus who just loves getting plus signed. Thank you. Thanks, Manny, you fucking bellend. Out of Home Depot, the strategy to get through the train yard is a straightforward one where you throw a brick to lure 2 Seraphites so you can sneak past them and onward. But every so often, there's another enemy on the path where he shouldn't be, which can lead to...
Move up!
Fuck you. Yeah. So, to avoid this and guarantee survival, we take the hunting pistol that we don't normally take until later. It's a good contingency plan. And that's why we take the hunting pistol, chaps. We reach the forward base, only to realise that Owen has run off and we have to go get him. Luckily, Chinatown and the tilted buildings are both easy to get through quickly and unscathed, despite all the Seraphites.
There's a wolf here!
Less luckily, Miss Trunchbull is waiting for us at the end of it all. Lev and Yara kindly rescue us from a lynching, and this brings us into the Stalker Forest, where the night is dark and full of bullshit. The Stalkers here have a habit of doing delayed slaps, which hit you despite you dodging, and you occasionally cannot dodge immediately after a kill. But we were ready for all of this, and we got through. Then, when we found Trunchbull,
Are you wearing my backpack?
quick feet and jabs took care of her easily enough. The restaurant's holdout can be scary, but if you're well practiced, it can also be a lot of fun. And once we're through that, we can run past all the infected at the coast and sneak through the ferry to find Owen and...
Abby.
Are these? It's porn.
Returning to the coast, we get past the hunting party with a couple of stealth kills and bring the kids back to the aquarium.
Just make it stop.
But Yara's arm needs amputating,
Please.
and so we need some medical supplies.
What do you need?
There's one fight with 4 Seraphites, which is simple enough,
Release.
and fast stealth takes us through the overlook and onto the sky bridge. Still, as scary as all this is, it's a good distraction from...
What's going on between you and your friend Owen?
Oh my god, Lev, now?
After a quick dip in the pool, the descent begins. We run into a bit of trouble in the Stalker hallway when our usual strategy of dodging through it goes a bit wrong. I fucking press dodge. Get off. But then, getting to ground level is fast. And getting to the elevator is even faster.
Come on, quick!
Sadly, the WLF aren't too happy to see us. But luckily, Nora is on hand to let us out and go after the meds. This leads us to another part that scares the hell out of a lot of players. But really, the Rat King is something of a pushover.
He's not gonna stop.
You like that?
I'm not dying here.
And it's the little shit who's more of a problem, as he tries to take advantage of the lock-on throw not always working properly to try and make me blow myself up. Fortunately, it doesn't work. And then we're out with the medical supplies. Saving Yara brings us peace, so we reunite with our dad in our dreams. But, of course, we won't be taking any permadeath tips from him.
Lev! Get back here!
Day 3 sees Lev run away to the island to try and save his mother. But on our way to get him back, we run into Tommy, and he is locked in. Luckily, as counterintuitive as it may seem, speed is key here.
He's luring them to us. Get ready.
But, as in all speedruns, there's very little room for error in the strategies, and Manny, unfortunately, made an error.
Screw it. Let's just...
Once we reach the island, we have to fight our way through the logging camp, then sneak through the farmlands to find Lev carrying the trauma of accidentally killing his mother. But we still need to escape, which unfortunately leads us right into the WLF and Yara's death. He does go out by taking Isaac with him, so we're 2 problematic parental figures down, and Abby and Lev are still kicking. A win overall. Getting through Brewery unseen requires decisive movement, a well-placed crossbow bolt distraction, and some swimming. Then we can pick our way through the war zone and on to safety. The easiest way to get through the balance beam in the Burning Lodge: run, believe it or not. Aim to turn, and run again. Then, our last Seraphite brute gets the same treatment as Trunchbull did. But the relief of escape is soured by discovering Mel, Owen, and Alice's bodies. So we're onto the theatre for our showdown with Ellie. There's a pretty solid and reliable strategy for the confrontation. Except when she dodges the bottle throw in phase 2 and things get dicey. Fuck you.
All over now!
But we do recover it in the end. It's over, at least for Seattle, and Abby spares Ellie. But Ellie's PTSD and an intervention from an embittered Tommy means she cannot let it go. So, we're off to Santa Barbara, where Abby was last seen looking for the regrouped Fireflies. The first enemies are the infected, but they're easily dealt with through bricks and sticks, running past, and a dose of death from above. Then, it's the fearsome Rattlers. On State Street, we crawl and dive past them unseen, stopping only for some additional supplies. But once we get to the resort farm, we're killing all of them to be safe. We can run through this area, but additional resources never hurt. Then it's the resort proper. And downstairs, the route to stealth kill all of the enemies who push out is well practiced. Though we do have a little bit of weirdness with clickers. We unlocked them while they were still sleeping, ready to alert on the remaining Rattlers. Only for them to alert on us, even though the Rattlers didn't alert.
Let me go. You can run away.
That's a lie.
Shit.
The fuck? Very bizarre. With everyone downstairs dead, I couldn't leave that one lone runner to suffer, And so, then we headed upstairs. The first time I got here in a run, things started off well. An arrow distraction, a stealth kill, quick movement ready for the next stealth kill, and then I got spotted. Still, I could have recovered it with the 3 smoke bombs that I had to hand. But one missed throw and... fuck! So this time, I went prone to finish off the second guy with an arrow before making my final escape.
Stray! We got a stray! Over here! What?
Fuck. And yes. The biggest relief of my life. We still had to cut down Abby, realize that our trauma was still driving us, and try to kill her before realizing in turn that this wouldn't bring us peace or bring Joel back. The technique for this was simple enough.
1, 2, 1, 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, baby.
Let's fucking go. And in that moment, pure elation. I had pretty much done it when I was through the resort. But you can still die to Abby if you're careless. So now I had actually definitively done it. Ellie's future may be uncertain, and the ending bittersweet. But for me, it was glorious. Nothing short of victory. 13 attempts died in The Last of Us Part 1. 1 died in Left Behind, and 7 died in Part 2. The successful 22nd attempt took 11 hours, 14 minutes, and 28 seconds of in-game time across 2 sittings. The time lost to deaths on the previous attempts? Somewhere in the region of 70 hours.
It's time consuming.
Let's take a moment to pay respects to all those who didn't make it to the end. So there you have it. Can I beat both The Last of Us games and the Left Behind DLC on their hardest difficulty, back to back, without dying? Yes, with a lot of practice and persistence. I sure can. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I could never do anything like that, I'm not just here to show off. Well, I kind of am. This video is all about my accomplishments after all, so it's kind of a brag. But the point is, I didn't do anything impossible. And to prove it, I have a whole playlist of strategy videos to help you beat these games on Grounded. Possibly even on Grounded Permadeath. Possibly even back to back. Let me know in the comments if you give it a shot, and how you get on. And for those watching who've already done something similar on your own, let me know that too. And tell me, which park gave you the most trouble on the way to success? If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and consider subscribing to keep up to date with all my content. Like the video that's just popped up, which YouTube thinks you should watch next. This is a Patreon and member supported channel, so if you want to become a member and unlock custom badges and emojis, early access to my videos, and your name in the credits, then click the join button below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.